So, hi everyone, welcome to COMM 190. This is Communication Seminar, Contemporary Issues in Communication. So, you are in Section A or Section B. I am your instructor for this class, Aaron Vicencio. So, what is this course? Basing from the syllabus, the course description reads, the course surveys current theoretical and methodological approaches, disciplinary concerns, and emergent phenomena in communication and media studies. Through lectures, seminars, and papers, students interrogate themes, concepts, and research articles. Course topics include local, regional, and global media issues and communication processes, especially the mediatization of everyday life and its social, political, and cultural consequences. So, what does that mean? How does this course become useful to you? Would it help if you think of this course as a curiosity course? What are the current issues, processes that you are curious about? And how might you, as the COMM professional of the future, or professional in the future for that matter, be able to use communication in different ways? So the course is divided into different modules. Module 0 is, basically an introduction. It asks the question, if COMM is everywhere, how do I find it? Module 1 deals with the meta-theoretical approaches of contemporary issues of communication. What do we mean by meta? And how do you, as a communication student, actually think about these issues? Issues such as persuasion, influence, representation, power in film and media and technology, and innovation in methods. So you might be wondering, how will I assess this kind of course, a curiosity course, no? So first, I'd like you to think of the discussion boards not as a performance, but rather as a resource. In discussion board 1, look for conferences. Look for calls for papers, webinars that are innovating in how communication is being discussed and practiced or researched. In Module 2, we'll talk about contemporary issues in advertising and public relations. So think about how COVID-19 has changed advertising. How has that changed methods of selling, methods of imbuing a certain kind of idea? How has, markets? How have markets changed? For this session, what we'll do is to, for the synchronous session, is that I'll give you a refresher on visual semiotics and what is an image. In Module 3, it is in contemporary issues in journalism, we'll discuss about deception. We'll discuss about ethics and how has visual journalism and the pandemic has changed each other. We'll look into how has this visual mis and disinformation in this field has changed current practices, challenges, and future opportunities. In discussion board 2, look into images of care. How has photojournalism changed the narrative or affects the narrative of COVID-19? In Module 4, we'll discuss issues in image and sound production. This will be looking into how TikTok can function as a resource, an object, and a paradigm. To look into a visual research method and home, and look into how these kinds of intersections of image, consent, and space all come together. Are you on TikTok? Is there something that you can teach using this platform? I, for one, I am not there. And how does it affect the future? Where do we go from here? In the synchronous sessions for this module, we'll talk about image, consent, and space. We'll look into how these things intersect and how has quote-unquote production changed concepts as well. In discussion board 4, we'll talk about NFTs. What the hell are they? And how does it affect the future of sound and image production? Now, Module 5 will look into issues of film and media studies. It will look into NFTs. How has health and media intersected? Look into how might we make sense of Taylor Swift? Or look at what does it mean to be intimate in media. And finally, in the synthesis session, it coincides with May 10, which was basically just right after the elections. How might we look into communication and how does it affect the future? In DB5, we'll look into 2050 Earth and how will communication be part of the future? Is this something that you might want to investigate? How will communication change and be changed in the coming years? Now, in thematic summary, what this does is that I ask you to look into your possible curiosity items. It might be towards your thesis, it might be towards just something that you want to sustain your curiosity with, but use the RSVP paradigm, meaning respond, search, provide visuals, and ponder these issues. In the second thematic summary, what you will do is to slide into the DMs. You should email an author on how a text changed, influenced, or altered your perspective on some contemporary issue. Ask questions, be curious, and maybe, possibly, ask for mentorship. Now, there is no COMM class without group work, no? So there are 3 group tasks. The first one, I ask you as a group, to conceptualize a YouTube channel with a name, a guest plan, sponsors, segments, and themes, and plan for the next 9 episodes. You should record the initial episode. In the second one, you are to create a 3 to 5 minute journalistic video report on the campaign period and elections. Be the journalist. Look at how this practice is being reformed, changed, affects the narrative again. In the third one, and you might notice that you have classmates in life sciences. So conceptualize a podcast series on image and sound production industry, public health, and the comm industry issues. Minimum of 5 episodes, and you are to record the initial episode. What makes this COMM 190 sections different from the others would be a particular focus on visuals. I'm a photographer, so why not create a visual interview? Maybe we'll learn something from each other. In IC2, you are to create an interactive movie watching guide about home. You can look across genres, scales, languages, but you are to create a cohesive framing to encapsulate your media samples. And finally, for your final output, you are to have an individual argumentative paper. How and why can this issue be studied, addressed, and conceptualized? Maybe try to think of it as your pre-thesis requirement. Part 1 looks into making sense of things. Look into how everyday actions have a communication aspect to it and create a document that maps out how one might study it. For example, how might one study the communication of trust, intimacy, care, migration, dissent? Part 2 looks into the possible critical theories, the possible methodological designs, a discussion, and relevant bibliography. What this does is that it prepares you when you try to figure out what kind of a thesis that you want to create, what kind of groups that you want to have as well. So you might ask, how might you maximize this course? For the discussion boards, try to come up and contribute a unique example. Try to engage with your classmates. In thematic summaries, this try to provide you a way of engaging in issues in a participatory manner. How might you be able to engage the practitioners of today? Now, the group work is designed for you to see how learners create, influence, and react to current trends and production practices, such that no production is a one-man team. It involves a lot of moving parts. So now the insight checks are skewed towards the visual methods, which aims to provide students a framework that is not aesthetically centered, but towards the means of production, reproduction, and process. Finally, the individual paper endeavors a platform to gather their thoughts towards a medium of concern, its significance, and how might you argue for it. It involves critical reading, sensitivity to context, and coherent delivery. Now, if there's something I want to emphasize, this course centers on student participation, a creation of safe spaces to be curious, and a sense of collaboration. What this tries to do is to create a community wherein you are free to share. You are free to share resources, what you are curious about, and what can you contribute to another person's curiosity as well. Now, throughout the semester, and I'm thankful that we have 16 weeks instead of the previous setup of a quarterly one, wherein I had some of you in like 7 to 8 weeks. I hardly even was able to make a full connection with you, and I hope this changes that kind of relationship. Now, for those who know me, I'm not the very formal person to do classes. No, it involves a lot of shifts and involves a lot of questions, but all that I ask from you is that you participate. I will not judge what you say, okay? I want you to express your curiosity, and I hope to see you in class.